So that's 34 years ago. And it was a big story. I mean, New York Times and People Magazine and TV. They and I were on the Today Show.
Oh,
in
my
those
goodness.
days,
Wow.
in those days, when a innocent person had been exonerated, that was a
Big
big
deal.
story. Nowadays it's not so big because it happens so often. There are so many of them.
But I was thinking, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking about
go
that
ahead.
whole thing with the rape kit. It was so much more difficult then because there wasn't DNA and it rested just on blood type, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Now, one other thing about that rape kit, that vaginal swab,
Yeah.
which was in like a test tube thing, that Prosecutor Rodbart, found that in the Elizabeth Police Department's old evidence building, which was going to be destroyed a month later. Had we come by and had he looked for that swab 2 months later, it would have been destroyed. So the stars aligned nicely for Mr. Walker, although he spent 11 years in prison for something he didn't do. But thank God we were able to get that done. So with his exoneration and all the publicity that came with it, several things happened. Number one, it gave little old one-man band Centurion Ministries some recognition and some credibility. 60 Minutes came. 60 Minutes now wants to do a story on, well, as it turned out, on me, because I was operating alone at that time. But most importantly, Kate Germain. She had just moved to New York City from with her husband from California. She read the article about Nate's case in the New York Times, and she tried to contact me, as were a number of other people, because at that time, I was the only one who systematically and organizationally were working on behalf of innocent people in prison in the United States. So anyway, Kate finally got through to me. We met in New York, and there was just something about her that I said that she looks like she'd be perfect for this. And by God, she is. She has been with me ever since January of '87, when she first began to work for Centurion with me. And she was so instrumental, and as a partner and colleague in helping me to grow and develop Centurion and have it become the organization that it has been and has developed into today.
That is remarkable. What a long connection and relationship you have had with Kate. And I interviewed her, my very first podcast, about a year ago. And so you're kind of coming full circle. That's a great, what a great story. What a great story.
I had forgotten that. Yeah.
Yeah,
One
that's
other
right.
One other thing about that is that, I was still on a shoestring budget by the time we freed Nate Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost ran out of money and got a job as a waiter in downtown Princeton a year before. but as a result of that and the publicity that it garnered and the credibility it gave our work, foundations started to come our way. And for the first time, I started to receive grants from several different foundations in Washington and New York City, which helped us, helped with the financing of the fledgling organization.
Did you wonder, as you created Centurion, how you were going to manage financially?
Well, I did wonder. I did wonder that. And, but, first of all, I had a pretty low overhead, I have to say, right?
Oh, right.
I'm living rent-free in a nice home in Princeton. That's my bedroom was Centurion's headquarters. I'm only working New Jersey cases. When I came up to the seminary, one thing I couldn't get rid of because I love that car. I had a Lincoln, a 1976 Lincoln Continental town car. Beautiful boat of a car. I love that car. But finally I realized I got to sell that darn thing it's getting 7 miles a gallon, and I'm driving all over New Jersey working on behalf of Chiefy and Nate Walker and a couple other folks as well. So anyway, I sold that car for a little Volkswagen Rabbit.
Yes.
So it's keeping the overhead down, but still, it takes money. I had to raise some money for Paul. He's raising a family at that time as well, not as well, but he was raising a family. I was single, so as a single person, again, I'm able to keep the expenses down, and one thing led to another, and then we start getting these grants from foundations, and various individuals find out about the work that we're doing because of the publicity, which gave us credibility, and one thing leads to another, and slowly but surely, we were able to achieve some kind of a financial foundation and a financial footing to do
great.
This work.
That's great. So you mentioned that you were driving all over New Jersey, but now you take cases from all over the country. What a difference from the narrow focus at the beginning, right?
Exactly. Now, let me take a minute to tell you how that happened.
Sure.
It wasn't any great, Harriet, it was not any great vision by me or imagination. In other words, I didn't say to myself, oh boy, I want to make this a national organization and free people all over the country. That's going to be my vision and my goal. That wasn't it at all. Mm-hmm. I just took it case by case, kept my head down, and 1, 2, 3, 4 New Jersey lifers are freed. When Nate and I, in November of '86, were on the Today Show with Brian Gumbel, and we got the 7:10 slot, which was the main slot. Next thing I know, now that's in addition to People Magazine did a beautiful spread on me. As a result of that, requests are coming in from all over the country. Now, this is right before Kate joined me. And poor Mrs. Yateman, she's 82 years old, and the next thing she knows, letters are coming in from practically every state prison in the country asking for help. Oh, that poor woman. Oh,
she needed a truck to bring the mail in.
Right. That's practically right. She was nervous as hell. But anyway, so we're on the Today Show. That resulted in I get a telephone call from a man by the name of Ozell Brantley. Now I'm talking about the first non-New Jersey case. Oh. He's in Houston, Texas. His brother Clarence is going to be executed on March 26, 1987. That's 4 months down the road. And that got my attention. Holy jeez, a capital. I've never done a capital case. I've never been to the state of Texas before in any capacity. But nevertheless, now Kate joins me, and she's starting to organize all these letters and petitions for help that are coming in by state, and she starts communicating with these folks and developing a file on some of the seemingly more important cases. But this is the case that got our attention because he's going to be executed. Yeah. He's exhausted all his appeals. That led me. So now we're going where the current takes us. The current. It's like a fast-moving river. The river took me and Kate, although she was organizing things from Princeton, it took me to Conroe, Texas, and Houston, Texas, to offer my services to Clarence Brantley's attorneys, who were Houston-based, and eventually, now 60 Minutes, they were going to do a story on me. So I go down to Texas as an individual. So I go down to Texas. Now I'm working on the Clarence Brantley case, where we are, Harriet, we are March 17th, which is St. Patty's Day, 26. We're 9 days away from his execution date. And that's when we were able to bring one of the state's star witnesses against Clarence at his trial 10 years earlier, he came forward and recanted his trial testimony, and he was an eyewitness to the crime. He identified the two men who actually did this as he stood by and let the victim go to her death. What happened, very briefly, what happened there was right before school was to start in Conroe, Texas, which is 50 miles north of Houston, a large high school, a visiting volleyball tournament, girls volleyball tournament was held at Conroe High. And Cheryl Ferguson, the volleyball manager of a visiting team, went around the high school looking for a restroom. She finally stumbles upon 3 janitors who are there waiting to be reassigned to another part of the high school by their supervisor, the African-American Clarence Branley. The other janitors were white. And as it turned out, as the recanting witness told us, 9 days before the execution, when he recanted and told us his whole eyewitness account, 2 of the janitors grabbed her, forced her into the restroom. She's yelling for help. The star recanting witness, John Sessom, as he told 60 Minutes, I guess I had a little bit of the rabbit in me, and he went away. He didn't go to her aid, and he left the scene. He couldn't stand hearing her cries for help. So anyway, they assaulted and killed her. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What we want to do is we want to wrap this segment up, and I want you to pick it up when you come back. I hope you will next time, so we can hear more about this case. This sounds fascinating. So thank you so much, and I hope my listeners will return and hear more of my interview with Jim McCloskey. Thanks for listening.